This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, folks. This is episode 197. It's about payroll, and today we have an amazing guest. Before I introduce her, how you doing, Walt?
Man, I'm excited to talk with our guest today. I'm excited to learn. I did some research on her, and I'm just captivated and fascinated by what she's doing. So I'm excited and eager to learn from her today. So what about you, man?
Right. I'm doing great, man. I'll get right into it today. We're joined by Hayley Paterson, the founder behind the Payroll Guide and the author of The Value of Payroll. Hayley's mission is to simplify payroll, demystify it, and help employers and payroll professionals see payroll as more than just a transaction, as a true business asset. In her work, she teaches a clear framework she calls the 3 Ps of Payroll: process, people, and profit. And what I love most is that she brings both the real world, boots on the ground perspective and the bigger picture leadership mindset that payroll deserves. Welcome, Hayley.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here and to meet you both.
Yes.
I'm
so excited. I'm like buzzing. I've got the chills. I'm so excited. Look, you know, you all are rock stars to us and celebrities to us, payroll folks. So I'm so happy to have you on. And I think we've had on now all of the current payroll authors, I believe, that have written books that aren't textbooks, right? Although Max's book is approaching a textbook, by the way.
Yes, I have read it. It's really good.
It's yes. I'm finding that I have to go back and be like, wait a minute, what did he say here? And I'm getting there. Sorry, Max. I think he's writing something else too, and I hope I didn't spoil anything. Ooh, I gotta check with him. I'll cut that out. And but yeah, I'm so excited. And before we get into our questions or our conversation today, we usually share some pay news and any current events that might be going around the payroll world. Walt, you got anything for us today?
Yeah, I have a quick story. We haven't done a true payroll crime story in a minute. So I just wanted to share something that I found. A former payroll and benefit generalist in Trope County who worked for the Board of Commissioners was charged in a federal court in July of 2025 she was charged for embezzling over $500,000.
Oh my God. Payroll professional?
Yeah. Payroll and benefit professional. It occurred between the months of March 2023 to May 2025.
What's that mark? About a year and a half, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Hayley, we found that most of these payroll crimes and payroll fraud on average, Walt has found the statistic, happen for at least 12 months to 18 months.
Yep. I have my own embezzlement story in my history as well.
Oh, we want to hear it.
Yes, I joined an oil and gas company and they were just being investigated by HMRC because they had done submissions for a tax refund for an employee and the employee said that he never received it. Showed his bank statement showing it never turning up. So an investigation was launched. It turned out a supervisor who left before I started had embezzled about £80,000 over 2 years. She'd done it to the employer before and the employer after as well. So she was taken to court over it.
Huh?
Oh my God.
Holy cow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You see, over 2 years, you said, right?
Yep.
There it goes. It's that, it takes at least that long before they discover it. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
It just it gives us not us, but it gives the folks like those bad apples in payroll and these trusted positions, right? And it's just, yeah.
She was a supervisor at the time and she didn't get on with the rest of the payroll team and they just left her to it. They didn't check on her. They didn't do any checks or reconciliations or anything. They just left her to one of the payrolls for the company.
That's the other part. No overtime.
She did it by a couple of different variations of how she did it, but yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Checks and recs, everyone.
Yep.
Wow. So yeah,
Yep.
just to say how the scheme worked. This
Go ahead, please.
employee basically used the county payroll system to generate hundreds of unauthorized payments in the name of other employees who were no longer working there. So basically, she used ghost employees, right?
Yep.
She
Yep.
redirected the funds into 3 separate accounts that she had under her name or in her control.
Yeah,
No oversight.
very similar to the story I had. She used employees although they would start to come on board, but they would never actually get hired because the project wouldn't go ahead or something. But she would use their records and pay it to herself instead. Or if someone was due a tax refund, she would just change the bank details, pay it to herself, and then change them back again.
Wow.
Yep. No good.
And things that easy kind of audit trails would catch,
Yeah.
any decent amount of oversight would catch all of these
Oh,
things.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Should have been caught.
Wow.
There should have been somebody checking the payrolls, but she was just left to herself.
Yeah. That's what we found. We found two of the biggest offenders, or the offenders, are business owners, kind of small business owners that do a lot of payroll tax fraud, basically collecting it from the employees and not reporting it and not sending it to the government, and payroll folks that have no oversight over their process. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't have anything for today, so I'm excited to get into talking to Hayley here.
All right, let's go.
And all right, so Hayley, first thing is, how'd you get into payroll? What's your origin story?
Well, I think like quite a few, I fell into payroll, but then I chose it as a profession that I
love
love.
that.
So I was an office admin. 10 months, I just moved down to a bigger city. 10 months there, and I got made redundant. The office
Oh, wow.
manager, branch manager, was really good to me. Wasn't due any redundancy, but he still made sure I got a package, and he gave me a lovely glowing recommendation. And so I went to the job centre for the first time in my life, early 20s, and I went to sign on. So I had the first interview, and I thought I'd be clever because she was going through all these different roles that were available. And I thought I'd be clever, right? And I'll ask some questions on this particular role just to show that I'm keen on getting a job in that.
Mm-hmm.
So once she'd given me the information, she then said, right, well, now that you've asked questions, you have to apply for this role. I'm like, well, I have no experience. I've never done anything like that before. So anyway, she made me apply for it. And that was my first payroll job.
Oh my gosh.
The BARF. Breaking news, acquisitions, research, funding. It's the week that was. It's a wonderful way to catch up on the week that was the week prior. Kind of a John Oliver-esque type of show. Ryan and I pitch each other's stories. We laugh. It's fun. You can watch it on YouTube, but you can also subscribe to the podcast. Give it a listen. Give it a look. Thanks.
And then, so what made you stay? Because that piqued my curiosity. I love that you said that. What made you choose it as a career?
Yeah, so that first job was payroll and purchase ledger. Now, I found out very quickly that purchase ledger just wasn't for me. I was in that job for about 5 years, and then I decided to move on, and I went into my first payroll bureau. Now, I love to learn. I love what I call putting my CSI hat on, identifying the issues, getting right down to the root cause, problem solving, and we have loads of that in payroll.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Love it.
So what's something that you believed earlier on about payroll that you completely see differently now?
Well, payroll, I've been in payroll almost 23 years now, and
Yep.
it has changed considerably since I started out. The mere perception of it being data entry, it's not that anymore. It's very strategic. The vast data that we produce is so valuable to business owners, and it's not moved away in the perception with employers and employees themselves. It's just kind of mystified. They're like, I don't really want to deal with it. So they don't tackle it, and they don't realize what a goldmine it is. So for me, I had no preconception when I started in payroll. I'd never really thought about it. I got paid, I got my net pay and paid my bills. That was pretty much all I thought about it. And that's the same for a lot of people as well. So I got no training when I first of all started in payroll. So I learned everything the hard way, as you do,
Mm-hmm.
thrown at the deep end. And I'm naturally empathic, so I always put myself in the other person's shoes. So I was quite good at kind of consoling people, getting people to calm down when they were a bit annoyed and frustrated with something going wrong. So I was always kind of put forward, especially when I hit the first bureau that I worked for. It was there was, just after I started, there was an irate person that came to reception, screaming, shouting, really not happy. The lassie that processes payroll, she's like, I'm not speaking to him. I'm not going there. Because we were in a different building at the time. So I was like, right, I'm going. Because all it takes is a little bit of a conversation. So 5 minutes it took me to calm him down. And it was just a misunderstanding. He just didn't understand what was happening. But because nobody was communicating with him, nobody was up front and saying, look, this is the situation, he got more and more irate.
Yep.
So it's that kind of thing that just really gets me going with payroll, that I love to help as well. So I love to be able to take somebody from that stress level, bring them down, going, look, this is what it is. Unfortunately, you can't completely alleviate stress with payroll because there is a lot of legislation, a lot of cost and things that you need to do. So, but understanding it is the key.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I love that. And I think that I think a lot of payroll folk are people of service, and that's what makes us good at it and want to be better.
But I find most people I know quite a few people in the industry, and they all love to help. They all want to be supporting their business, supporting their employees.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So what's a hard lesson that payroll taught you that made you better professionally or personally?
Oh, wow, it's taught me loads of lessons and made me fall on my bum a number of times. For me, I was always thrown at the deep end, little training. And I mean, that incident that I told you about, the employee turning up, having those conversations, just being thrown right into it. And you learn about yourself as a person, about how to respond, what people's motivations are, what they're looking for, why their frustration. So you can understand that it's not just about the numbers with payroll. It's empathy. It's human responses. At the end of the day, it's their money to live off. So it's a cause of frustration. It's a cause of anger and upset. So it's learning all that kind of navigating people and conversations, which I'm not very good at, being an introvert myself. And also kind of tying that into the factual, the numbers, generating that data, sorting that data, analyzing it. So it's completely different areas that you have to learn and learn well in payroll.
That's true.
And about that, you're right. Because payroll, we're all going to make mistakes at some point. And there's always times where we're going to reflect and look back and say, well, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. And I think you articulated it very, very well, because I took that as like, I can always, because payroll's always changing. There's always new things occurring. There's always something for us. Yes, there's always something for us to fix. And, so we have to, I think payroll pros are one of the most adaptable kinds of folk.
Resourceful.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we're always having to adapt and change and learn. So
always looking forward as well. It's that planning. It's like seeing what's coming up, because you're always looking forward, right? This legislation starting here and we've got this change here.
Yep.
So we're concentrating on the now. We're looking at the past with all the data that we're gathering, analyzing the past. We're focused on the now, but we're always got that eye on the future as well.
Yes.
Yep. I was just thinking the same thing you said. It was in your bio, and payroll is more than that transaction. It's everything around it. It's everything but, because you could really teach almost anybody how to create a register and data input and press calculate. It's not that, right? It's everything that's around it that goes into it. It's like the strategy, the compliance plus the strategy. That is payroll.
Yep.
And I think people outside of payroll don't get that part.
They don't get it, especially kind of employers, business owners. They don't get what valuable data that is and how they can utilize it to plan strategically within their business.
Yep.
So if you've got a peak time where everybody's doing overtime and you're paying time and a half for that overtime, then why not hire somebody else? You're going to pay them basic, you're saving costs, you're also saving stress for the team because they're not having to work so much.
Yep.
And then you're creating a new resource that you can then use for holidays and sickness cover.
Yep.
And also, if they're not working so many hours, you're keeping them under the threshold. So you're saving on employers' NI, employers' pension and things like that. There's always that kind of thing. Also, if you've taken on projects, I mean, we're quite close to the oil and gas industry, and I've worked in a number of oil and gas businesses. that you've got these projects and you're manning up, and how do you know whether that project is going to be profitable? Because the biggest part of that project is quite often the human resources, the human element. You're putting people out there on the rigs and the boats doing the job, and you don't realize how that cost can creep so quickly and so easily with just delays, and you're paying standby and things like that.
Yeah,
So it's building in that buffer and understanding those costs.
I love that.
Exactly right. Yep.
Well, switching gears to your book, right? The Value of Payroll. What inspired you to start writing? Was it one moment, or, several moments, or years of seeing the same problems repeat?
Hi, we're Meg and Amy from The Meg and Amy Show.
We're not only tech execs and big picture thinkers, we're also best friends.
We're curious learners. And on this podcast, we're challenging the status quo and activating the future.
And we're going to give advice about work and leadership, right, Meg?
You know, we can't help ourselves. But this podcast is about exploring possibility, not being right.
That sounds refreshing.
For more, tune in to The Meg and Amy Show.
Yeah, I mean, it's years of, I think, frustration to start off with. But the catalyst for me actually writing the book was me reading another book. So I love to read, and I'm forever reading a business book. I normally have one or two of them on the go at any time. I love to learn and develop myself. So I'd read a book, and it mentioned about a book being a great asset for your business. So then I read another book, and again, it was saying a book as an asset for your business. I'm like, come on, I work in payroll. What am I going to write about? But I couldn't get it out of my head. And then a couple of months later, December, it was still there, and I was doing a mundane task. I can't remember what it was, but it was mundane task. And the Value of Payroll just popped into my head, and I could not let it go. So I had a business friend at the time. He did book and beer sessions online. So he would get a bunch of us together, online webinar, and he would invite an author to come along and talk about their book. So I've met David from Turn This Ship Around. I've met Gerald Ratner through it. Loads of great authors. So anyway, he had one in January following that, and it was a book mentor. So I was like, right, okay, let's just go along and have see what she has to say. And then after that, I was like, all right, okay, we'll just have a conversation with her and see what she's got to say. And then I was writing a book. And in the planning session for the Value of Payroll, by the end of that, I was writing a second book, which has now been written and is due to be published in May this year.
Yeah.
And since then, I've had about 5 more book ideas. So I'm not done. I'm not going on to write anymore just yet.
All in payroll?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, let's go.
Yes. Yep. Let's go. Wow. I love it. I can't wait. So when you decided to write, was there a gap that you were trying to fill from other content that you didn't see?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd gone on looking for payroll books, and all I could find was these massive big tomes from accountancy firms.
Yep.
And not even I would read them, to be honest.
Exactly.
As soon as you write something like that, it's out of date.
Yes. You got to look online. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, everybody was going on about mindset books, and there was just nothing on payroll. And it just frustrates me every time I have a conversation with somebody and they don't think about things, they don't plan things. And I'm like, well, you could have saved money there if you planned that better or thought about this. So speaking to clients, speaking to people and employers, so it was kind of out of that frustration that I was like, come on, you need to think about it differently. Mm-hmm. And I think it's been building in our industry for a number of years now, this need for us to be valued, to be seen, and especially since COVID and everything happened with that, where people actually started to say, all right, okay, payroll is actually quite essential. Mm-hmm. So building on that over the years, that it's time that we shout it out about our industry, our profession, and what we can do, and why it's so important that we've got a seat at the leadership table.
Love it.
I love that. So what was the most surprising part of the writing process? Whether that was for payroll or whether that was about you yourself?
I've never been good at English. So writing a book was like, how am I going to do this? But the biggest surprise for me is the amount that I knew and what was coming out. Because at the beginning, I was like, what on earth am I going to write? I'm not going to be able to fill a book. What on earth am I going to do? But as soon as you start writing, the more you write, the more you develop, the more you think. And it did take me a while to write that first book, but it was going through that journey, that process, the amount of learning that I got personally out of it, I'll hold for the rest of my career. So even just that alone, it was worthwhile doing.
Wow.
Amazing. So let's see. For someone who hasn't read it yet, what is the value of payroll really about?
It's about shifting that mindset from it's a cost, it's a burden, it's absolutely necessary but unremarkable, into it's a strategy. It affects every part of the business. Your processes need to be strong to support the people. The people are the heart of the business. And then it actually has an impact on profit, which most people wouldn't put payroll and profit generation in a sentence, but it absolutely should be in a sentence.
Absolutely.
So it's about how to turn payroll into strategic profit generator.
Wow.
By just simple things. It doesn't take a lot. It's never not going to be a cost. You're never going to take that away. It is always going to be the biggest cost in your business.
That's right.
But you can see it as a cost or you can see it as an investment.
Mhm.
So if you are a production business and you manufacture a certain project, you might buy a bigger piece of equipment to manufacture that product quicker or easier. It's the same thing for your payroll. You're investing by taking on that stuff, by paying that stuff in the growth and stability of your business.
Yep.
The more you see it as an investment, the more it's not a drain. It's actually something that you have control over that you can then use to grow your business further.
Wow.
Love it.
Love this. Oh my goodness. So it's a perfect segue to my next question. You teach on, you just mentioned like the 3 Ps of payroll, right? Process, people, profit. Could you walk us through the framework that you mentioned in there that helps people see what they usually miss?
Yeah, it's getting each of those segments right. So if you don't have the processes in place, then you're not going to support those people. We've got a lot of conversation going on around at the moment about building better workplaces. And what I say is if you're going to build a better workplace, you better make damn sure that your foundations are solid. And by solid, you have to address and look after the fundamental reason your employees work for you, to get paid.
Yeah.
Now, you might have aspirations of them buying into your business dream and being on this journey with you. No, it's your business, it's your dream, it's your journey. They're there to get paid. So as soon as you kind of address that, realize that, now they might buy into your journey as well, which is brilliant, but they're there to pay their bills, to look after their family. So you need to take care of that, and then they'll take care of your business.
Love it. Yes.
Well said. Well said. You also have the payroll guide. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what inspired that?
Yeah, so I started my business, Channery Payroll Solutions, which is an outsourced payroll provider. And from the beginning, I always did consulting as well as outsource. And I found that the two were completely different audiences. They conflicted under the same roof. So in January 2025, I split the consulting into its own brand, the Payroll Guide.
Oh,
And basically, it's a premise on I am the payroll guide. I want to guide employers through their journey, developing their payroll processes and structure, being able to gain all that information out so that they can use it strategically within their business. So it's still in its infancy at the moment, Payroll Guide. So we're developing it a lot more this year. So we're pushing that on. So yeah, so I will end up having the two businesses.
wow.
That's
Congratulations. That's amazing.
That's doing big things.
So
Okay.
Guide is going to have this book and the next book under it. It's got power hours, consulting, but it's going to have a focus on new employers going forward because we've got to start at the beginning. When you start as an employer, you're giving zero guidance. You don't know what to do, what the costs are, what you're stepping into. And I'm forever taking on new clients that have just hired their first employee. They get to about a year and they're like, I can't afford this. I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't know this cost was going to be. And I'm like, well, did you plan beforehand?
Yeah.
It's taking it from an afterthought to let's plan this. This is something that has to be planned, not just hire somebody and then think about it, which is the norm, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Well, I'll be developing a suite of services over the next couple of years, specifically for new employers, to try and educate them in a overall way, but at a low cost. So high impact, low cost, because they can't afford to pay the loads of consulting fees for all the information that they should really know. And that's the difficulty. They need to know it, but they can't afford to go down that route.
So true.
Yeah, that's very true. So,
Hey, it's Libby DeLucian. If you're sick of business advice that sounds cute, but doesn't actually move the needle forward, this one's for you. The Libby DeLucian podcast is where we go one layer deep. No gurus, no glitter, just straight up unfiltered talk about scaling a business, running a household, and holding on to your sanity in the middle of the chaos. If you're the bottleneck in your business or in your own life, I'll show you how to fix it. Simple, tactical, and one layer deep every time. Let's go visit libbyd.com and check out our podcast today.
what payroll gift, and I'll explain what I mean in a second, what payroll gift would you most want to pay forward? So whether that's a skill, a mindset, or a standard that you wish that every payroll pro had?
It's being open to change, because I think that's the biggest stumbler in our profession. You still get people that we've always done it that way. I hate that phrase. I hate it.
Yep.
The biggest and most constant thing in payroll is change. So you have to adapt with it. You have to learn with it and just be open to whatever's going to happen. And our industry is so changeable. There's so much legislation. It's never going to be 100% accurate. So you have to then develop yourself in a way that you're constantly reconciling and checking everything that you're doing, questioning yourself as well as everybody else, so that you can get it as accurate as you can and develop yourself. You're constantly learning.
Yes.
Love that.
Invest in ourselves. That's what we say all the time.
Yep.
Got to invest in ourselves. Even if the company can't do it, you want to grow, you got to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
What's one habit or system that you swear by that helps prevent payroll chaos?
I'm quite an organized person, so I have checklists for everything. So it's typical bureau. You have your payroll manual that tells you everything about the client. You've got your deadlines, which is a spreadsheet with everybody's due in date, due out date, pay dates and everything, so that you cannot miss a deadline. It's having that structure and easily reference so that the team then can all see where we're at with different payrolls, what still needs to be done, what's being done.
Love that.
In the pocket.
Easy.
For sure. Everybody always says to me about, so when I first started in my first payroll bureau, we had lever arch folders. This is taking you back a bit. Lever arch folders for every client. So things would come in the post, and we'd get things in emails. So all the emails would be printed out. I know they didn't like the environment. Printed out, and the letters that came in, and everything would be put into a Polly Pocket at the beginning of the lever arch file. And then when you picked up the payroll to process it, you take everything out of the Polly Pocket and see what needed to be actioned. So I've always had the pocket, is what I call it. Now, it's moved on from a Polly Pocket. It's now a folder on the emails that everybody's got access to, the inbox, and everything goes in there. So you're not busying up the inbox with everything that needs to be done. It's in there, so somebody will go there to find out anything that needs to be processed at the time that you're running the payroll. So it's having that in various different forms. I've introduced that into different businesses that I've worked with.
Yep. Good stuff. I love it. This is a great advice for payroll pros out there.
And perfect setup. Thank you, Brian. If you could speak to a new to payroll professional, what would you tell that person to stop doing immediately and have them start doing instead?
I would tell them to stop being so critical on themselves. Don't expect perfection. I am a perfectionist at heart. So that is a big challenge for me. It's don't put that pressure on you. Just be open and always checking.
I love that because, I think a lot of us in payroll are that way because we want, because at the end of the day, like you said earlier, you're very empathic, right? And so we want to treat others the way we like to be treated, and we want to make sure that everybody else is getting our very best because we operate in that spirit of excellence. So we want people to be happy. We want to deliver people the right pay, to earn our hard-earned money, to make sure that they're good to go. Because we kind of, like you said earlier, we put ourselves in their shoes, right?
Yep.
And so I think I absolutely that resonates with me. And one of the biggest things I like to say is like, give yourself and others grace. And because we can be motivated and speak life into other people, but sometimes it's hard for us to do that for ourselves.
Yeah. It's like, if you make a mistake, own it.
Yep.
Acknowledge it, learn from it, and let everybody else learn from it as well.
Yes.
And that's the great thing that I've always done is we share each other's errors so that we can learn from each other, so that we then are less likely to make the same. And we make sure our checklists and our backup and our documentation all support us to reduce those errors.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say that I disagree until you said your last part. Don't be hard on yourself, but make sure you're checking. You're checking your stuff, right? And I was like, wait a minute. I feel like that hard on myself keeps me good, but wait, you're right. You just gotta check on yourself, check on your work. Have the checks and balances.
Yeah, if you put your pressure on you, then you're more likely to make a mistake because you're
right.
like stressed.
Yeah.
So if you leave yourself open to, right, okay, I've done this import of data, what can I check it against?
Yep.
Constantly checking yourself. Do I know what this legislation is? So if you haven't done it for a while, look it up because it probably has changed. It always does.
Yeah.
So it's just constantly renewing what you know, checking on what you do so that you're not giving yourself a hard time and stressing yourself out because that doesn't make you productive. But you're constantly aware of what potentially could happen.
Yep. Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much. So we want to thank you for joining us. And two, I'm glad we can kind of cut it short. I know you're feeling under the weather. Thank you so much for braving this, even though you are. We'll end it with two things. One, on where can people find where you're at? How do they reach out to you? Where do they connect to you best?
Yeah, LinkedIn. Just connect with me on LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
It's the best way.
And the second thing is we have a quick game that we like to play with folks just to break the payroll noise and get to, talk about some other things other than payroll. It's called This or That. It's you can pick both, either, neither, one, doesn't matter. Just have some fun talking. I'll start it off and we'll end it. I love this one for our folks across the pond. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
That's what I thought. Travel by plane or train?
Train.
Ooh. Okay. Excel or Google Sheets?
Excel.
Yep. That's a constant battle between Walt and I. Yep.
So do you prefer 90s music or 2000s?
90s.
Okay. Would you rather have pizza or a burger?
If I had to choose one of those two, it'd be pizza.
Okay.
And which is the better payroll power? Being able to catch errors before they happen, or being able to explain payroll so well that anybody can understand?
I like that.
I think the second one, being able to explain, because that's not a common trait. It's not an easy one to develop either.
Yeah.
And it's the one that we need because we need to be able to translate our complexity that people shy away from and don't acknowledge because they don't understand it into that plain language so that they then lean in rather than out.
I
love it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Hayley. Please, everybody, go get and read The Value of Payroll and look out for more from an amazing author and thought leader and payroll professional. Walt, you want to leave us with the quote there?
Yeah. When you know better, you do better. Maya Angelou.
Awesome.
Very true.
We love you, folks. Thank you so much. Until the next time.
I get it. The podcast just isn't enough. That's all right. Head over to your favorite social app, search up Work Defined, WRK Defined, and connect with us.